Good morning, everyone. I'm Sister Jenna, your host for our new America Meditating segment called Wise-ish. It's your power boost for the morning. It's for you to take your dose for your inner cure. Join us every day, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. to 8:45 ET. Don't forget, take your dose. See you soon.
Together we make this choice. Together, Om Shanti. We're singing Om Shanti.
Every time I hear that song, it just takes me into another world. Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to your spiritual vaccine hour. Santosh and I were just laughing in the background that I'm going to start the show teasing Happy and Sister Geeta, who are absolutely egoless on the left side of me on the sofa. So Happy has now completely surrendered to Sister Geeta's vibrations. So Sister Geeta, you know, she's so relaxed all the time. I'm the one who's always like the disciplined and, you know, conservative, and Sister Geeta's on the sofa like, yeah, you know, life is easy on the Ponderosa. And Happy is just with her like, yeah, very easy. And as I look at the both of them, and I wish I could turn the camera, but I can't. But the two of them look so egoless that maybe what I'll do if I get a chance is to get a picture taken of them and show it to you tomorrow. just how egoless these two are. They are in no way attached to a name, a form, a religion, a status, how much money they have, what they've done, who they've been, what car they drive, what house they own, what clothes they wear. None of that. Absolutely none of that. In their whole energy, they're just Atma, you know? They're just souls. Like, I don't know why they keep bothering themselves. This is how, when you look into their eyes, they're like losers. You know, they're just not doing it right. And the both of them right now are just looking at me like, there she goes. This is so funny. You get no break. Doesn't matter how hard you work or how much you put in. There's always going to be someone that you're going to bump into in life. And you just glance at them. And they're like easy like Sunday morning, you know? Like, what's the problem? What's the issue? Everything is easy. That's egoless. End of the talk. Thank you so much for joining us today on Spiritual Vaccine Hour. Look, so many of us, what do you expect, right? However long you've been in your body, every morning you wake up, you see the same face. You see the same gender. You might turn to the same partner. You see the same bathroom. You walk through the same bedroom. You look at the same house, the same people, the same furniture. Eventually, that sameness begins to build a sort of awareness. That's you. That's me. That's the I. That's the ego. It builds an attachment to the story. And one of the most intriguing opportunities in life is to reach a particular point where you can be with the same people and you can be in your same body, but have a detached and loving experience of that scene. Not always easy. Not always easy to sustain. Easy to do when you do it. because the natural nature of the human soul is to be sentient, which means to just naturally come from the place of spirit. You and I actually don't have to make effort to be soul conscious. We are that. And the only reason why we make effort is that the recording, the confirmation of the recording of the same face, the same body, the same gender, the same style in the way you wear your clothes, the way you do your hair, after a while you come to a place of accepting, oh, that's me. But now, try to expand that, or not expand, try to extend that outside of just what you see in the mirror. And you look in a magazine, or you look on television, or you see a movie, and you capture a character in the movie that maybe connects to dreams of a you think you would love to be, but you know you're nothing near it. But when you watch that character in that movie, you go, he or she reminds me a lot of who I would be, you know? But maybe you're married, you've got a lot of kids, maybe you don't have the economic standing, maybe the environment or the situation you're in, you feel doesn't permit you to be that person. But you look at the energy of that person, or you look at that personality, and you start to identify with it. It could be from their looks, their features. It could be the clothes that they wear. It could be the partner that they have. It could be the career that they have. And all of it is still external, isn't it? Right? So everything that sometimes is appealing to you comes from outside of you. That's ego. It's always a physical form. It's always a limited idea. It's always a limited concept. How many of you have actually come to realize that if you're attached to your body, it is a form of ego? I sit in this chair every night. I've sat into this chair for almost 100 nights with you. Santosh told me that we've gone over 100 shows so far. Every night. And I sit in the same chair every night. Now, if I develop the habit, this is my chair. Our wonderful, beautiful sister Indu came over today, and she was sorting up the place and making it look prettier than it was. And I thought to myself, when she was in the studio living room, studio/living room, and as she was vacuuming and really making the space feel more pure and more powerful, I just had the thought, I was looking at my chair and I said, that's my chair. I said to myself, is that my chair? No, that's not my chair, that's just a chair. And I started to recall the conversation of tonight, that each time we start to identify something as mine, that's where the ego comes in. It is a chair that I sit in at nights and in the morning. I use it for a purpose, but it's not mine. But imagine if I started to keep believing my chair. I remembered in my early days of meditation and spiritual practice with the Brahma Kumaris in New York. I used to have to open up the building early in the mornings, and I would have to walk from where I was staying into this big building, Global Harmony House. It was my duty to open up at 5:45, open up the doors, turn off the alarm, get the lights going, get the music, put the chairs on the stage, get everything going. And so I would sit right in front, in the front pew, in that seat. And God forbid, if anybody sat in that seat, I was disturbed. And I didn't think of it, but I used to say, you all know that's my seat. Why are you sitting in my seat? But as I started to really look at why I would be bothered, I had realized that I had developed the ego of my seat. Just like how people in political positions here in Washington, D.C. have the ego of their position. They are so invested in the attachment and the identity that I am so and so of this district, this state, this country. Do you know who I am? I'm the head of the military. I am Senator so and so. I am the head of the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. I'm the secretary to this person. And all of that is ego identity, which means it's not long term. Anything that is designed or made, even if it's a mental concept, if it's made of limited beliefs, limited ideas, and the worst part is if you determine your worth based on that, you're setting yourself up massively. I was sharing with all of you how I have encountered a health opportunity, and I was sharing with my friends how I've appreciated their love and the support, and even so many of you have sent me your blessings and good wishes, and I deeply, deeply appreciate that, and I thank you so much. And I was thinking, that for the first time, I questioned why it felt unusual to be on the receiving end of a lot of love. And I want you to think about that. And I've been thinking about that because I didn't tell like a lot of my close family or friends because I wanted to wait until things were clear for me. But I'm just like on this receiving end of a lot of love and good wishes, and I go, why does that feel so odd? Like I don't know what to do with it. And my whole definition of love has been, in my bestowing and sharing has been my love, and I'm receiving from my giving. And for the first time I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'm not giving to anyone, but now all of a sudden everyone's giving to me, and I'm going, I don't know what to do with that. So I thought to myself, is that your ego? Because what love will do is that love has this uncanny ability to melt every bit of ego in you. They always say if you have to deal with a very arrogant person, shower them with so much love that you'll just crack them into pieces so that they can show their real selves. And I say this with you with a lot of authenticity tonight because in some ways, and I'll ask you to give yourself a life review right now. When you really look at your life, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how would you rank your ego meter? Where, there's so many things about ego. You're better than everyone else. You have all the answers. You never show your vulnerabilities. You have to control the situation. It's my way or the highway. You're ignorant. You're not open to learning from anyone because you think you know it all, right? Remember what I always say, what Rashmi always says when she recognizes ego in somebody, their faces change. She says, face change, no? Because when somebody is arrogant, their faces have a lot of like evil tendencies. Like there's I use the word evil deliberately. There is a lack of love in their face. Like you try to find the love there, but you can't. So what does that say to us at a soul level? It says that that particular soul has formed such a belief system about themselves that everything about who they value about themselves, everything that they are, and where they pull their worth from, has everything to do with labels. Attachment to the gender, the name, the religion, the brand, the money, the clothes, the shoes, the cars, the house, the partners, that when the soul keeps feeding into the physical and the human, and all it does is feed into the intoxication of the physical form, the love is no longer used. So because matter goes through entropy, which is a change from chaos, from order to chaos, then if you and I keep feeding only in the interpretation and understanding of matter, eventually the soul dies spiritually. It dies to truth, it dies to self-worth, it dies to purity, it dies to peace, and it definitely dies to pure love. Because now all the conditioning is of the physical dimension, body consciousness, human consciousness. And so I thought to myself, how come I'm feeling this feeling as so many of my friends and family are like bestowing pure love, just pure love. And I'm like, maybe they're cracking another layer of ego that I didn't even know was there. So I was saying how my health opportunity has been opening up so many new things I would have never had even seen before. Like I would have never thought that. I always considered myself to be very loving, very thoughtful, very caring. And the universe and the drama says, you are, but let me show you 10 times more of where that lives, which is in your connection between the soul and God and Baba. Remember the story I told you that I was in India and some money had been misplaced and everybody had heard about this money was gone, and I felt awful. And that was the year I was also sick with a bad, when you get a cold in India, it's like corona, okay? It's awful. It's just, especially for those of us who are raised in the West, our bodies aren't as strong as those who are raised in India because, you know, our environments are so much more aesthetic and it's different in India. Anyway, so that year I was just a mess. So I went to Daddy Janki and I said to Daddy, I don't know what's happening to me. It's like, I said, all my fortune is over. And Daddy Janki just looked at me with such significance, with such depth. And she looked straight into the soul through my eyes. And she said, your fortune hasn't even begun. And I said, what? I've been moving things, Daddy. Do you know how much stuff has been done and how Baba is using me and God is moving me? She just looked at me. Your fortune hasn't even begun. And I paused. That crisis made me realize there's still so much more about us that we have no idea that it exists. And sometimes a tragedy, a loss, a health opportunity, a crisis, the pandemic, protest, sometimes they will awaken parts in you that you never even knew you had. So when it comes on to relationships, and there's ego in these relationships, and if you are conditioned to find your worth and your value from these human tendencies, and you enter into the heart of another person who might be less driven by the human tendencies that you are accustomed to, that's going to be a kind of an interesting encounter. Maybe the one with less physical drive might impact the one that has a lot of physical drive and will love them so deeply that there might be a turnaround. But let's say that there are two of you. Let's say you marry into someone because of just their beauty or how their body looks, okay? And then the other one marries you because of your money, your wealth, or your position. Both people are coming into a marriage based on limited beliefs, egotistical belief systems. What do you think is going to happen with that relationship? What's going to happen when you reach a particular point and neither one of you can maintain that deception? Or what happens is that you feed the ego so much that it gets thicker and thicker and you become more darker and darker in terms of your way of looking at this relationship. Because you will not give in. And if the person doesn't accept you, accept your ideas, then get out. So what ego will always do, it keeps separating you. It separates people. It breaks up things. It breaks down things. It creates chaos. It creates fear. It creates a hole. It's so shallow. It's so shallow. Another story. In my 20s. I really love my 20s. You were so ignorant. And in my 20s, I was given the duty to put the chair, this chair on the stage when Daddy Gulzar was visiting New York at the time. And it was such a small duty. All I had to do was take the chair from the backstage and put it on the stage and walk away. But the ego of wanting to be seen was so strong that the way I put the chair made no sense, because I was more focused on the 200 people that were in the hall looking at me putting the chair on the stage. That was ego. Because I was looking more for the attention of people, not focused on what my duty and my responsibility was. That was in my 20s. So such a simple, I'm giving you a very simple example. But how many of you have made choices, very simple like that, just to show yourself up? How many of you have waved your peacock feather around in front of a guy or a girl? Kind of seems silly now, doesn't it? You, a powerful being, starts to walk around and flirt a little and, do your hair back a little bit, and, the guys pump it up a little bit, let me just show my chest a little. And the girl passes or the guy passes, and so what? What did you get from it? Oh, yeah. I mean, how did that serve you? Now do you see what I'm saying when I put that chair on the stage? How easy it is for the ego to interfere in your self-worth and self-esteem? It can come up in a second without you knowing, So I want you to watch this wonderful video I came across with Eckhart Tolle, and just listen to some of the thoughts that he's sharing about ego, because it connects to everything that we've learned in Raj Yoga meditation, and how when we practice to be soul conscious and Baba conscious, ego has no competition. It has to die. It has to say, Om Shanti, let me move on to another victim. I can't get anything from this one. Anyway, enjoy this.
Okay. Actually, my question has already been answered.
That often happens.
And I think one day we are going to come here, and once we're all in presence, we won't have any questions for you.
That's true. That would be wonderful.
And you're going to be out of business.
Yes. Yes, that would be wonderful.
So, actually, my question was, could you elaborate on ego versus healthy self-esteem?
Ah, yes. Okay. Eventually, what you call healthy self-esteem, which is a wonderful thing, eventually that is not enough. And as a human being evolves, that healthy self-esteem is no longer satisfying as you grow older, and is transcended. And what takes its place is healthy, no hyphen self-esteem. The self-esteem, of course, means that you are reasonably satisfied with who you are as a person and the achievements of the person, what the person can do, or what the person knows, or what the person possesses, and you compare what the person can do, abilities, what the person knows, knowledge, or what the person has in terms of possessions. You compare that with others, and you come out favorably. So either you can do more than somebody else or others, just feel better about yourself. I can do this, but they can't. I can, but you can't. Or you have more knowledge. Did you know that this in such and such is such and such a case? You didn't know that? Well, let me tell you. That feels good. You know more. These ignorant people, they don't know anything. Or you have more. How many bedrooms does your house have? 4? Well, we have 11. Do you have an advanced degree? No? I have 2 PhDs. And that's fine it starts with a child already. It says, look what I can do. I can jump further than you. And that for the child it's fine. There's no point in telling a child, don't do that, because your ego is arising. No, the child has to go through that. And it is better to have healthy self-esteem, as you describe it, as it's usually described, than extremely low self-esteem. I'm no good. Everybody's better than me. I have nothing. Life has treated me unfairly. There's a self-image there also, as there is a self-image in healthy self-esteem. One, of course, is much nicer than the other. It's more pleasant to live with healthy self-esteem than with a low self-esteem, or unhealthy self-esteem, one could call it. But they're both identification with some kind of form. And you compare the form of who I am with the form of others, and you are better, at least in one area, you must be. And that's satisfying, but you're trapped in form, and you're depending on, for your sense of value or worthiness, you're depending on, ultimately, to put it bluntly, others who have less or know less or can do less than you. And that's fine. Doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to do great things or to have things or to know things. But the question is, ultimately, is that a satisfying basis for your sense of who you are? And in the long term, it is not. It is not satisfying. That is why people who are maybe very happy with what they possess, after a while, there's an emptiness that comes, not the spiritual emptiness, a sense of emptiness of what's it all about. And even things you can do, a time may come when you can't do it anymore. Whatever it is that you do that's so great, playing an instrument, the great pianist, wonderful, why not be a great pianist? But if you derive your sense of who you are from that, then one day you find arthritis in your fingers. And who are you now? Or just the agility goes, it's not there anymore. Oh my God, suffering comes. Or you invent the greatest new computer, some computer, I don't know the expressions, but program or whatever it is, and everybody says this is the greatest ever, but 3 years later or 2 years, these things happen very quickly. Somebody else comes with, makes yours obsolete, and then you have no new ideas, and there you sit completely devastated because from somebody great you've become nobody. But it was all illusion. because you derived your sense of who you are from something in the world of form, which is fleeting, not reliable, not solid, dreamlike. And so the true self-esteem comes from not identifying with form. Now, whether we even want to call that self-esteem, I don't know. The true sense of worthiness and of power, true power, comes when you realize the formless in yourself, that dimension, and that all power comes from that. But it's not, it goes far beyond the person that you are. And then you are rooted in the formless, so to speak, or you are it, and that there's enormous sense of worthiness in there, but it's not comparative. It's not more than. You see the same worthiness in everyone, even if they don't know it for themselves yet. So there is power, but not more than. There's just the power of life itself, and you know everybody is an expression of that, although they may not know it yet. Everybody. So this is, you transcend conventional self-esteem, and it doesn't mean you lose your sense of worth. It shifts into something much deeper. So every human really is. There may even be some children these days who don't need to go through the egoic stage anymore. That is possible. But traditionally, and humans had to go, and many probably still have to go through the stage where they identify with form, develop some self-esteem, do something that you feel good about, you can do it, and then comes the time going beyond. Except perhaps, as I said, some advanced souls who may be coming into this world, already in this world as children, who don't even need to identify with that anymore. A question that comes from there also is, if a person has low self-esteem, in other words, a mental image of not good enough, then does that person have to go through the stage of healthy self-esteem before they can transcend it altogether? I don't know. I haven't tried it enough with enough people. It may well be that the unhealthy self-esteem, if it leads to a state of suffering, great suffering, you may be able to, with the help of a teacher, go from there to no self. Because the way from unhappiness or suffering to transcendence is easier than the way from superficial happiness to transcendence. Superficial happiness keeps you in the dream world for quite a while. It's not that bad, my life, I can't complain, it's not that bad, it's going okay. I'm quite happy, just got a promotion. I'm so happy I just got my annual bonus from my Wall Street bank. Great, I'm doing great. Yeah. So from there, the transcendence is not directly from Wall Street, probably not. But if you go from Wall Street to prison, then much easier.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So Eckhart has definitely given us a lot to think about, and it kind of falls in alignment with really the thoughts that we shared earlier. If we are so invested in the physical form, in the conditioning, in the human form, we've lost the game of life, really. And that's what the whole world is governed by right now. The human conditioning, the human dictates, the unhealthy way in which we function with each other, as Eckhart was sharing. And I do feel, though, as we continue to charter through these particular times, we are being invited inwards to break the attachment to these identities. I remembered a student who used to come to our space in Silver Spring, Maryland. This was before we had opened up the meditation museums. She was a physician, and I don't know how she had come to hear about us, but you know, our spaces were always opened to welcome anyone in. And I knew there was something wrong, and I knew there was a disturbance, but I didn't prior go any further other than the offering of the Raj Yoga meditation course. She was a physician, and she used to come maybe for about 2 months, and she came quite regularly for 2 months. And then after that, I happened to be driving downtown Washington, D.C., and I saw someone who looked exactly like her, but this person was homeless, and they were pushing a cart, and they had the same clothes that she always came to the museum with. And she was talking to herself as she was pushing the cart in downtown DC. And I had realized that it was the same person. And her problem at the time when she was coming for the 2 months was that she was being sued for a malpractice lawsuit, and her medical license was taken away from her. And she was fighting this case for 15 years to get back her license. And you can only imagine the condition and whatever she was going through. She wouldn't let go of the attachment. She was a doctor. And when that malpractice came upon her, she didn't know anything else to be. That's how damaging ego can be. That it feeds a limited interpretation or identity that you hold. And if the universe or the destiny says, I'm going to take that from you because there's a lot more to you, if the ego is really thick, it will feel like you're being destroyed. Why meditation is so important is that when you turn inwards and you give in to all of those games of the external world, and you tap into the spiritual dimension, the virtues of the soul, then whatever happens, it's what it is. How do you get to that place? Every day, every single day, you have to remind yourself that you're a soul and what type you are. You have to ask yourself the question, how would I feel if I, the soul, became pure once again? And you just have to sit with that question for a while until you come alive with that experience. You have to look at yourself without the relationship, without the partner, without the clothes, without the beauty, without the weight. You know, some of us feel that if we gain too much weight, we lose something. Some of us feel like in India, if you're too skinny, you don't look so good, you know? So you have to always kind of focus on these things. In India, they like you to be voluptuous, you know, kind of heavy. When you have weight in India, you're wealthy. and you're healthy. So cultures are different. It's the same thing also in African cultures. It's important to have weight. But when you come here, it's just like, you know, even though America's obesity is the highest throughout the whole world. Go figure. I can't figure it out either. And I won't try to. The moral I'm saying is that it is so vital for you to step into that place inside of yourself. To feel the original energy of your real existence. And that has a lot of peace, and it has a lot of purity, has a lot of calm, it has a lot of light. And when you are coming from that dimension, you're egoless. And that means you can't give anyone sorrow. And you can't take sorrow from anyone. Because there's no ego in the equation. You're good to go. So it's not just considering yourself as well to be a soul, though. Because in order to maintain the power of that realization or experience or remembrance, you need to somehow turn your energy towards something that can confirm that. Just like how I said earlier, you could watch a program and see a particular character in a movie and you go, that person reminds me so much of myself. You're bouncing off your thoughts and vibrations with the other character. So when you're getting back to the truth of who you are, to the self-esteem and self-worth of who you are, then you're going to need to bounce your energy off of an energy that carries the weight of that conviction, but even at a higher dimension. So that's when you take your inner world of thinking towards the interpretation of the divine, God, the Supreme Being. And when you connect to God, to Baba, internally you are in a very humble and surrendered state. To really establish this experience and link to Source, the soul needs to be in a very surrendered place. Like, I'm okay. Let me let go of all my labels right now and just be. And just when you hold that place or that position of being and you keep it like that for a while, okay? When you feel calm enough and open enough and at peace enough, then you can say, God, Baba, I'm ready to be with you. That you can feel the equality, the connectivity, the intimacy between you and God. And just through that emotional, spiritual, mental link, you, the soul, will feel a confirmation of what it's like to feel your peace, your purity, your love, your power, and there'll be no ego in that. You see, what I've noticed with ego, it has no power over you when you're living truthfully. None whatsoever. So the more there is this connection between you, the soul, and the divine, then the ego becomes disabled. It's less. So let's go into a nice meditation now. Take a deep breath. Release. Inhale again. And release.
I turn my thoughts inwards, focusing on my own inner being. I allow the world with all its complexities, roles, and relationships, to slip away from my mind by filling my consciousness with thoughts of my own inner self. I am peaceful. I am light. I am energy. And from deep within myself, I begin to radiate strength and acceptance. I am standing on the shore of my life, and with my inner eye, I look upon the vast ocean of my inner being. Behind me, I have left all the heaviness and burden of my worldly life. In front of me lies unlimited possibilities of new experiences. My consciousness begins to open to the vast, unlimited energy of the universe and beyond. In my mind's eye, I see a star, a wondrous, radiant star of light that is emanating waves of peace, waves of love towards me. I allow these waves to enter the depths of my inner self. And I am immersed in waves of peace and love. It's as if I've become the form of peace itself. Gentle, light waves of peace filling up my entire being. A divine energy of love is caressing me. And the empty spaces within myself are being filled with love and light. The universal divine energy and my own energy of light and peace combine as if one. I feel myself becoming whole again. The wounds and emptiness within my inner being are healing. I'm filling up with peace and love and acceptance for myself. My inner self is shining brightly with a light that no circumstance of life can dim. I am flowing with my destiny. I am a master, choosing how I will experience my destiny. I have the deepest faith in myself to guide myself through all the troubled waters of life. I understand how each troubled area within my life is leading to new depth and growth within my inner being. I believe in myself. I am whole, intact, full in the richness of my own strength and peace. I am light enough to fly over the biggest mountain of obstacles that life can place in front of me. I have no need to exaggerate future possibilities. And I can leave the past where it belongs. In the past. I can feel the light and strength of my inner being radiating out through my face and eyes like light waves of energy, peace, and joy. I am experiencing the beginning of a journey of discovery into the vast treasures of experience that lie within the silence of myself. Slowly, I begin to move my thoughts away from my inner silent being. And again, I waken my consciousness to the world around me, the room in which I'm sitting. Slowly, slowly, I look around me with my eyes. peace and strength that have come to me from my inner journey are still reflecting out through my face, through my eyes. In time, I know I will be able to keep this peace and strength with me all the time, always.
All right, so now we are signed, sealed, and delivered in today's session. I hope you really enjoyed it. I heard there was a glitch in the YouTube, but I think it's back on, so hopefully we'll be able to get that together. We don't know why, but it's back on anyway. But living a life ego-free is really a life of love. So let's turn up the volume on our love factor, and let's totally turn off where the ego thrives through body consciousness. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have an incredible, beautiful evening tonight, and stay pure and loving and happy and healthy and wise and just you. And stay just you. With Baba's company, of course. Okay, lots of love. Om Shanti. See you tomorrow.